140 hours before you get to final distribution and are able to close out a probate case. That's right, I'm going to say it again, 13,140 hours before you get to final distribution. But before we do that, let's start off and actually get focused on what's the task at hand? What are all the different things that we have to do in order to actually get through the entire probate process? So first off the bat, and you're probably not going to know that this would be on my list, but the most important thing is breathe. Just breathe. You know, you're going through a really tough time and you're, entering into a probate process or a process you've never been in before. And hopefully you'll never be in it again. But you have to give yourself time to grieve. You have to give yourself time to breathe. And you also have to help your other family members because they're probably going through a difficult time as well. So first step before we get to any task, breathe. Give yourself a moment to grieve, and also give yourself a moment to help other family members that might be going through the same as you are. So that's my first step. Now, let's go to a task list. Task list is really important, and it allows us to kind of focus or pull into focus all the things that we're going to need to do. So let's take a look at a task list that I created that, maybe just might help you out in getting everything organized. So I have 13 steps laid out here for you to review. Please take your time, pause, but it's everything from liquidating assets and figuring out what the liabilities are to closing out social media. So as you can see, that task list had a lot of things on it. But really, that's just kind of the first step in getting organized and making sure that we're prepared to get through probate in the most efficient manner. The second step is, let's talk about the actual probate process and all the different things that have to happen. And quite frankly, all the resources that are, at your disposal if you kind of know how to use them, and if you know where to look, and if you know what companies to kind of search out. So let's go over the probate process step by step and all the different tasks that have to happen to get you from the beginning, which is, sort of filing letters of petition, all the way to, getting that final order signed by the judge and, quite frankly, dispersing all of the heir's funds, getting you paid as the administrator, and closing out probate. But let's go step by step and take a look at that. So I've laid out the 27 steps of what probate administration should be in most states. It can vary based on county or state and laws, but for the most part, these are the 27 items that you will have to tackle and take care of. And hopefully this will give you a better insight and prepare you for what you need to do in order to close out probate. So here's a little disclosure. One, obviously, I'm not an attorney or CPA or financial advisor. I always highly recommend that when you go through the probate process or any legal matter, that you hire an effective attorney that you feel comfortable with, that can help you and guide you through the process. I think also when you're dealing with anything financial, it's always great to consult a CPA and or financial advisor to help you through anything that may come up. Experts in these areas can really save you. I know a lot of times people go, I don't want to spend the money, but it's an old saying of penny wise, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. And I think not hiring an attorney and not sort of engaging a CPA or financial advisor, it may seem prudent in saving money up front, but in the end, it may cost you a lot of time and a lot of money that you didn't need to spend on either. So I highly recommend it. And because we deal with, probate nationwide at Advance My Inheritance, I will tell you that every single state has different probate laws, and every single county has its own nuance in how they actually handle the probate process from start to finish. So make sure that you engage an attorney, consult a CPA and or financial advisor as you go through this probate process. I promise it'll be worthwhile and money well spent to engage these type of professionals. So we've covered a lot of ground, but the video wouldn't be complete unless we went over kind of the list of companies and or resources that are out there that can help you get through the probate process and all the different steps in between, when you first filed letters of petition to the time where you actually closed on the house and dispersed the funds. There's so many things that have to happen, and there's so many resources that can make each step or each part of that process much more simple. And all we've got to do is leverage those resources. So let's take a look at what type of companies are out there for you and what type of resources are out there, and let's get through it together. That I would definitely check out as you're going through the probate process. I'd look at unclaimed funds companies, auctioneer estate companies. Obviously, we've talked about financial advisors, CPAs, and attorneys. There's also a U.S. Wills Registry company that can help find lost wills if they've been filed. There's also an heir search company, heirsearch.com, if you are looking for a long lost relative that needs to be served or they're an heir. And then finally, Alix. Alix is a company that actually manages the entire process and helps you get through the probate process from start to finish. And they have lots of resources. They're connected in with a lot of companies in the industry, and they even have attorneys on staff. So please take a look at all these resources, leverage what you need, and let their expertise help you close out probate. So as you can see, there's a lot of resources that are there at your fingertips in order to help you through the probate process. There are a lot of steps that we've talked about, but these resources can, they can really help you out. So leverage them, make sure that you engage them, take advantage, and help yourself get through the process in the most efficient, least amount of headache way. And then finally, I'm going to end the video kind of, sort of the same way I started it. And I'm going to say that the last step is really the first step, and you have to do it all the way through the process. And that is breathe and give yourself a chance to grieve and also help other family members that might be going through a difficult time. There's a lot of financial stress on, going through probate, but there's also a lot of, emotional stress. So give yourself a break, give your family a break, take care of each other, breathe. And, don't be afraid to grieve and get through the grieving process. It's the most healthy thing that you can do as you go through this. So I wish you well, and I thank you for watching this video.